Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the exploration ship UES Horizon. The large windows showed the dark space ahead, filled with distant stars. He had been traveling through space for 3 months now, leading a mission to meet with alien leaders from across the galaxy. The ship was quiet except for the soft hum of the engines. Jake looked at his watch. They would reach the Andromeda communication array in 2 hours. This huge space station was built by aliens long before humans ever left Earth. It served as the main meeting place for different alien species from 17 star systems. Dr. Lisa Hamilton walked up to Jake. She was the ship's expert on alien life forms. Her face looked worried as she held a small computer tablet in her hands. "Jake, we just got a message from the Galactic Council," Lisa said. "They marked it as very important." Jake turned to face her. "What do they want?" "I don't know yet. The message is waiting for us to accept it." "Should I put it on the main screen?" Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was all there. Chief Engineer Ben Carter was checking the ship's systems at his station. Navigation Officer Amy Roberts was studying star charts. Communications Officer Don Walsh was listening to radio signals from nearby space. They were all good people who had been with him for years. "Yes, put it through," Jake said. The large screen in front of them flickered and came alive. An alien appeared on the screen. It was Ambassador Zethkari from the Valorian Collective. His body looked like it was made of clear crystal, and he was very tall. Jake had met him before, during peace talks on Earth. Usually Zethkari looked calm and spoke in a soft voice, but today he seemed nervous. His crystal body was glowing brighter than normal, which meant he was upset about something. "Greetings, human delegation," Zethkari said. "I must tell you about something important that has happened. The Galactic Council has finished a big study of all the planets where intelligent life exists. We looked at every world in known space. Felt curious. The Galactic Council was made up of the smartest beings from many different alien species. If they had studied all the inhabited planets, it must have taken them years to finish. Each planet has been given a rating," Zethkar continued. "We looked at how dangerous each world is. We studied what threats exist there. We measured how hard it would be for visitors to survive on each planet." Ben Carter looked up from his station. "That sounds like a good idea. It would help travelers know what to expect." Amy Roberts nodded. "Like a guidebook for space travelers." But Zethkari's expression became more serious. "The results of our study have been very surprising. We did not expect what we found." Jake stepped closer to the screen. "What did you find?" "Earth has been officially classified as a Class X extreme hazard world," Zethkari said. "It has been ranked as the most dangerous inhabited planet in all of known space. The Council has unanimously voted to crown Earth as the galaxy's most terrifying planet." The bridge became completely silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. He looked at his crew. They all had shocked expressions on their faces. Dr. Hamilton was the first to speak. "Terrifying, but we have welcomed alien visitors to Earth many times. We have shared our culture with them. We've shared our technology. We have been friends." "That is exactly what makes your world so frightening," Zethkari replied. Jake felt confused. "I don't understand. How can being friendly make us frightening?" Zethkari's crystal body dimmed a little. "Commander Morrison, may I ask you some questions about your home planet?" "Of course. What did you eat for breakfast this morning?" Jake thought this was a strange question, but he answered, "I had eggs, bacon, and toast. The eggs came from birds. The bacon came from an animal called a pig. Is this correct?" "Yes, that's right." Several other aliens appeared on the screen behind Zethkari. They all looked uncomfortable. On most worlds, Zethkari said, intelligent species eat plants, minerals, or energy. They do not eat other living creatures. The idea of killing animals for food is considered very cruel by most galactic citizens. Ben Carter spoke up. "But humans have always eaten meat. It's natural for us." "That is precisely the problem," said another alien on the screen. This one looked like a large insect. "What is natural for humans is terrifying for the rest of us." Jake felt defensive. "We also eat plants. Many humans choose to eat only plants." "As we know," Zethkari said. But the fact that you can choose to eat living creatures, and that many of you do choose this, makes other species very nervous. Dr. Hamilton stepped forward. What else concerns the Council? Sethkari looked at something off-screen, then back. At the humans. Your planet has creatures that would be considered monsters on any other world. You have large predators with sharp teeth. You have creatures that can kill with poison. You have tiny organisms that can cause deadly diseases. Every planet has dangerous creatures, Amy Roberts said. But you keep some of these creatures as pets, the insect-like alien replied. You bring them into your homes. You let your children play with them. On my world, such behavior would be considered insane. Jake thought about his dog back on Earth. Rex was a German shepherd who loved to play fetch and sleep on the couch. You're talking about dogs and cats, aren't you? Among others, yes, Sethkari said. These animals are descended from hunters and killers, yet you treat them like family members. Because they are family members, Lisa said. They love us, and we love them. Love, said another alien voice. This is another concept that confuses us about humans.
Ow!
The screen showed a new alien. This one looked like it was made of water, constantly shifting and changing shape. Humans will risk their lives for other humans they have never met, the water being said. You will enter burning buildings to save strangers. You will donate parts of your own bodies to help sick people you don't know. This behavior makes no sense from a survival standpoint. Dan Walsh, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. It makes sense to us. We help each other because it's the right thing to do. Right and wrong, Sethkari said. More human concepts that frighten other species. Most intelligent life forms act based on instinct or logic. Humans act based on ideas about right and wrong. This makes your behavior very hard to predict. Jake felt frustrated. So we're dangerous because we try to do the right thing? You are dangerous because you are capable of doing terrible things. But you usually choose not to, Sethkari explained. A species that always acts the same way is easy to understand. A species that can choose to act in different ways is frightening. The screen showed images of Earth, beautiful forests, vast oceans, tall mountains covered in snow. Your planet itself is also very dangerous, Sethkari continued. You have storms that can destroy entire cities. You have earthquakes that can split the ground open. You have volcanoes that can cover the sky with ash. But humans don't just survive these disasters, the insect alien added. You have learned to predict them. Some of you actually chase dangerous storms for fun. Ben Carter laughed. You mean storm chasers? They're scientists studying weather patterns? They drive vehicles directly toward the most dangerous weather events on your planet, Sethkari said. For research, yes, but also because they find it exciting. This behavior is completely unknown among other galactic species. Jake began to understand why the aliens were worried. Things that seemed normal to humans probably looked very strange and dangerous to beings from other worlds. What happens now? Jake asked. What does this classification mean for Earth? Sethkari's crystal body grew brighter. That is why we wanted to speak with you, Commander Morrison. The Council wants to meet with human representatives. We need to decide what to do about the most terrifying planet in the galaxy. Ended, leaving the human crew alone with their thoughts and a million questions about what would happen next. The Galactic Council chambers were huge. Jake Morrison had never seen a building so big in his entire life. The ceiling was so high that he could barely see it. Thousands of seats were arranged in circles, going up and up like a giant bowl. Each seat was filled with a different kind of alien being. Jake walked with his team toward the center of the chamber. Ambassador Kate Phillips led their group. She was a smart woman who had spent years learning about alien cultures.
Behind her
Walked Colonel Steve Brooks, a military officer who had fought in many battles on Earth. Dr. Ryan Clark, who studied different cultures, came next. Jake and his crew from the UES Horizon followed them. The humans sat in a special circle of chairs in the very center of the chamber. All around them, thousands of alien eyes watched their every move. Jake had never felt so small and outnumbered in his life. Some of the aliens looked familiar. He recognized the crystal beings from the Valorian Collective. There were the insect-like creatures from the Arachnid Confederacy. Water beings from The aquatic collective flowed and moved in their special tanks. But there were many other species that Jake had never seen before. High Counselor Vexthera called the meeting to order. She was one of the spider-like beings, but much larger than the others. Her 8 legs were long and thin, and her body was covered in dark fur. When she spoke, her voice echoed through the entire chamber. "This council meeting will now begin," Vexthera announced. "We are here to discuss the classification of the planet Earth. The human delegation has requested this hearing. Ambassador Phillips, you may speak." Kate Phillips stood up. Even though she was surrounded by thousands of aliens, she looked calm and confident. "Thank you, High Counselor. We are here because we want to understand why Earth has been called the most terrifying planet in the galaxy. We have always tried to be friends with other species. We have shared our knowledge and welcomed visitors to our world." Blue-skinned alien with 4 arms raised one hand. "I am Counselor Threen from the Aquatic Collective. Grapsada Phillips, your people eat the flesh of living creatures. On my world, we consider this to be cannibalism. We eat only plants and minerals from the ocean floor. But we don't eat other intelligent beings," Dr. Clark said. "We eat animals that are not as smart as we are." "It makes it worse," replied a small, furry alien. "You choose which creatures are smart enough to live and which ones you can kill. You make these decisions based on intelligence. What happens when you meet a species that is not as intelligent as humans?" Jake felt uncomfortable. He had never thought about eating meat this way before. "Your people also do things that we find very strange," said Representative Quinn from the peaceful enclaves. He looked like a tall, thin tree with eyes. "You jump from high places with only a piece of cloth to slow your fall. You climb dangerous mountains where many of you die. You swim in waters where large predators live." "Those are sports," Colonel Brooks explained. "We do them for fun and exercise." "Fun?" asked another alien. This one looked like a rock with arms and legs. "You risk your lives for fun?" "On my world, we only take risks when we have no other choice." Ambassador Phillips tried to stay calm. "Every species has different ways of enjoying themselves. Surely that doesn't make us dangerous." High Counselor Vexthera moved closer to the human circle. Her 8 legs made clicking sounds on the floor. "There is much more that concerns us, Ambassador Phillips. Your world itself is unlike any other inhabited planet we have studied." The lights in the chamber dimmed. A huge screen appeared in the air above them. It showed pictures of Earth from space. The planet looked beautiful with its blue oceans and white clouds. "Your planet has weather that would kill most galactic species," Vexthera continued. "You have storms with winds that can destroy buildings. You have rotating air columns that can lift entire structures into the sky." The screen showed videos of tornadoes and hurricanes. Jake could hear gasps and worried sounds from the alien audience. "Yet humans do not hide from these storms," Vexthera said. "Some of you chase them in vehicles. Others use instruments to study them. You have turned the most dangerous weather in the galaxy into a science." "We study storms so we can warn people and save lives," Dr. Clark explained. "But you also find them exciting," said Counselor Zeph from the Desert Worlds Alliance. "You look like a large lizard with golden skin. We have watched your entertainment programs. Humans enjoy watching storms and disasters. This behavior is unknown among other species." The screen changed to show Earth's oceans. Huge waves crashed against rocky shores. Deep underwater, strange creatures with glowing lights swam in the darkness. "Your oceans contain creatures that are the stuff of nightmares," Vexthera said. "Predators with hundreds of sharp teeth. Creatures that can change their shape and color. Animals that can kill with a single touch." Jake thought about the sharks, jellyfish, and octopuses that lived in Earth's seas. To humans, they were just part of nature. But he was beginning to understand how they might seem scary to aliens. Despite these dangers, Vexthera continued, "Humans swim in these waters. You dive deep underwater without protection. Some of you surf on top of waves that could crush your bodies." "We're careful," Amy Roberts said. "We use safety equipment and follow rules." "Safety equipment that you invented," replied the rock-like alien, "to make deadly activities only very dangerous instead of instantly fatal." The screen showed more images of Earth. Tall mountains covered in snow and ice. Deep caves that went far underground. Deserts where the temperature could kill unprotected beings. Your planet has environments that would require special suits and equipment for most species to survive, Vexera explained. Yet humans live in all of these places. You have built cities in deserts, on mountains, and near active volcanoes. We adapt to our environment, Colonel Brooks said. That's what intelligent species do, said Counselor Bren from the Cautious Collective. She looked like a flower with many petals, but each petal had an eye. Most intelligent species find safe places to live and stay there. Humans go to the most dangerous places on their planet and make them into homes. The screen changed again. This time, it showed human cities. New York with its tall buildings. Tokyo with millions of people. Los Angeles, spread out across a vast area. You build your cities in the most dangerous locations, Vexera said. Cities on earthquake fault lines. Cities where hurricanes strike regularly. Cities built on islands surrounded by active volcanoes. Those are just the places where people wanted to live, Jake said. We deal with the dangers because we like those locations. That is exactly what frightens us, Vexera replied. You choose to live with danger. Most species choose to live safely. Dr. Hamilton, who had been quiet during most of the hearing, finally spoke. What about all the good things humans do? We help other species. We share our technology. We try to make peace between different groups. That makes you even more frightening, said a new voice. A tall, thin alien with silver skin stood up. I am Counselor Dex from the warrior clans. My people respect strength and courage. But humans are different from any warriors we have ever known. How are we different? Colonel Brooks asked. Most warrior species fight when they have to fight, Counselor Dex explained. Humans fight for ideas. You fight for things you cannot see or touch. You fight for freedom, for justice, for the rights of others. Then, when you win, you help your enemies. The screen showed images from human history. Soldiers from different countries who had fought each other, then worked together after the war ended. Former enemies shaking hands and building new relationships. This behavior is unknown in the galaxy, Counselor Dex continued. Most species fight until one side is destroyed. Humans fight until they decide to stop fighting. That kind of self-control in a warrior species is terrifying. Jake looked around at his crew and the other humans. They all seemed confused by what they were hearing. So you're afraid of us because we're too peaceful? Ambassador Phillips asked. We're afraid of you because you choose when to be peaceful and when to be violent, Vexera replied. A species that always fights is predictable. A species that always avoids conflict is also predictable. A species that can do both and chooses which one to do is completely unpredictable. The chamber fell silent. Jake could feel thousands of alien eyes watching the humans, waiting to see how they would respond to these accusations. Ambassador Phillips stood up slowly. Hi, Counselor. We understand your concerns. But what do you plan to do about Earth's classification? Are you going to ban humans from traveling in space? Are you going to isolate our planet? Vexera's multiple eyes focused on the human delegation. That is a very good question, Ambassador Phillips. The Council has been debating this issue for many days. We'll share our decision with you soon. But first, she continued, we must present more evidence about why Earth is considered so dangerous. The hearing will continue tomorrow. You may return to your ship and rest. As the humans left the chamber, Jake felt worried about what other evidence the aliens might present. What else about Earth and humanity could possibly be more frightening than what they had already heard? The next morning, Jake Morrison and his team returned to the Galactic Council chambers. The huge room was even more crowded than before. It seemed like every alien species in the galaxy had sent representatives to watch this hearing. Ambassador? Kate Phillips looked tired. She had spent all night reading reports and preparing for whatever evidence the Council might present. Colonel Steve Brooks sat quietly, his face showing no emotion. Dr. Ryan Clark kept checking his notes about human culture and history. High Counselor Vexera called the session to order. Today we will present the final evidence about why Earth has been classified as the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. Senior Analyst Kretak will show this evidence. A tall, gray-skinned alien stepped forward. His head was much larger than a human head, and his eyes were completely black. He carried a small device that made the giant screen above the chamber come to life. Honored Council members, Kretak began. What you will see today represents the most disturbing evidence we have gathered about the planet Earth and its inhabitants. The screen showed numbers and charts. Jake tried to understand what they meant, but the alien symbols were hard to read. Let us begin with basic facts about Earth's environment, Kritik said. The gravity on Earth is much stronger than on most inhabited worlds. Citizens from 43 different species tried to visit Earth. The gravity would crush their bodies. The screen showed comparison charts. Earth's gravity was much higher than the galactic average. The air pressure on Earth is also extreme, Kritik continued. The atmosphere would squeeze the lungs of most galactic species until they could not breathe. Dr. Hamilton leaned forward. But we've had alien visitors to Earth before. They seemed fine. They wore special suits and took medicine to help them survive, Kritik replied. Without this protection, most aliens would die within minutes on your planet. The screen changed to show Earth's sun. It looked bright and yellow, just like Jake remembered from home. Your sun produces dangerous radiation, Kritik explained. This radiation causes cancer and other diseases on most worlds. Intelligent species normally hide from such radiation or live underground. But humans do something incredible, Kritik continued. You expose yourselves to this deadly radiation on purpose. You lie in the sun for hours. You call this sunbathing? And consider it relaxing. Sounds of shock and fear came from the alien audience. Jake realized they had never thought about sunbathing as dangerous. To humans, it was just a normal part of summer. Furthermore, Kritik said, humans actually become darker when exposed to this radiation. Your skin changes color to protect you. This adaptation exists in no other known species. The screen showed pictures of Earth's weather. Huge storms with lightning and thunder. Tornadoes that looked like spinning fingers reaching down from the sky. Hurricanes that covered entire continents. Earth's weather systems are the most violent in the galaxy, Kritik announced. These storms produce winds that can throw vehicles through the air. They create electricity that can kill instantly. They drop water from the sky in amounts that would flood most worlds. Yet humans not only survive these weather events, Kritik continued. You have learned to predict them. You have created an entire science around studying dangerous weather. The screen showed weather forecasters on television, meteorologists launching balloons into storms, and scientists using radar to track hurricanes. Most disturbing of all, Kritik said, some humans actively chase these deadly storms. Drive vehicles directly into the path of the most dangerous weather on their planet. Jake thought about storm chasers he had seen on TV. To humans, they seemed like brave scientists. But he was beginning to understand how aliens might see them as completely insane. Now let us examine Earth's oceans, Kritik said. The screen showed underwater scenes, sharks swimming through dark water, giant squids with tentacles longer than a human body, jellyfish that glowed with their own light. Earth's oceans contain predators that would be considered mythical monsters on any other world, Kritik explained. Creatures with hundreds of sharp teeth, animals that can change their shape and color to hunt. Organisms that kill with poison. The pressure in Earth's deep oceans would crush the bodies of most galactic species, Kritik continued. The water is so deep that sunlight cannot reach the bottom. Strange creatures live in this darkness, creatures that create their own light. Yet humans swim in these waters, Kritik said. You dive to great depths without protection. Some of you swim. With the predators for entertainment, the screen showed people swimming with sharks, diving to coral reefs, and surfing on huge waves. Captain Troy Anderson, who had joined the human delegation, stood up. Those activities have safety measures. We use equipment and training to reduce the risks. Equipment that you created, Kritik replied, to make the impossible merely extremely dangerous. The screen changed to show human recreational activities. People jumping from airplanes with parachutes, others climbing tall mountains covered in snow and ice. Humans racing cars at incredible speeds. Humans have created entire industries around activities that would be considered suicide on most worlds, Kritik said. You jump from aircraft thousands of feet above the ground. You climb mountains where the air is too thin to breathe. You race vehicles at speeds that would kill you if you crashed. These are sports and hobbies, Amy Roberts said. People enjoy challenges. On 17 different worlds, Kretak replied, enjoying deadly challenges is considered a sign of mental illness. The screen showed more human activities. People skiing down steep mountain slopes. Others whitewater rafting through dangerous rapids. Humans bungee jumping from tall bridges. Your species seeks out danger for fun, Kretak continued. Pay money to put yourselves in life-threatening situations. You consider this entertainment. Shocking of all, Kretak said, human children participate in many of these activities. You teach your young to take risks that would terrify adult members of other species. The screen showed children learning to ski, swim, and climb. Jake remembered learning these things when he was young. His parents had always encouraged him to try new activities and face his fears. This brings us to the most disturbing evidence. About humans, Kretak announced. Your relationship with fear itself. The chamber became completely silent. Every alien in the room was focused on the screen. Most intelligent species avoid things that frighten them, Kretak explained. Fear is a survival mechanism that keeps beings alive. But humans do something unique in the galaxy. The screen showed people doing things that would scare most beings. Rock climbing without ropes, swimming in dark water, walking across narrow bridges high above the ground. Humans seek out things that frighten them, Kretak said. You have horror movies designed to scare people for entertainment. You tell frightening stories around campfires. You build amusement park rides that simulate dangerous situations. You even have a saying, Kretak continued. The only thing to fear is fear itself. This means humans believe they should not be afraid of being afraid. Dr. Clark stood up. Fear can hold people back from achieving great things. We try to overcome our fears so we can grow and learn. It is exactly what terrifies the galaxy. Kretak replied, a species that conquers its own fears is capable of anything. The screen showed human achievements. Humans walking on the moon, deep-sea explorers discovering new species, astronauts living in space stations. Humans have left their dangerous planet and traveled to other worlds, Kretak said. You have gone to places where no life should be able to exist. You have survived in the vacuum of space. You have walked on worlds with no air to breathe.
Almost.
Species developed space travel to escape their home planets, Kretak continued. Humans developed space travel to find new challenges. The screen showed plans for human missions to Mars and other planets. Designs for ships that could travel to other star systems. Humans are not content to stay on the most dangerous planet. In the galaxy, Kretak said, you want to explore other dangerous places? You want to go where no one has gone before? Ambassador Phillips stood up. Is curiosity and exploration really so frightening? When combined with everything else about humans, yes, Kretak replied. You are a species that thrives on danger, overcomes fear, and seeks out new challenges. You are also capable of great violence, but you choose to be peaceful most of the time. This combination of traits has never been seen before in the galaxy, Kretak continued. You are unpredictable, adaptable, and seemingly indestructible. You survive things that would kill other species, and you do it while helping others and staying mostly peaceful. The screen went dark. Kretak faced the human delegation directly. The evidence is clear, he said. Humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because you are evil, but because you are capable of anything, and we cannot predict what you will do next. The chamber erupted in discussion as aliens talked among themselves about what they had heard. Jake looked at his fellow humans and realized they were all thinking the same thing. They had come to this hearing expecting to defend their planet. Instead, they were learning that the very things that made them human were the things that made them terrifying to the rest of the galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as High Counselor Vexera prepared to speak again. Her 8 legs clicked on the floor as she moved to the center of the room. Jake Morrison could feel tension in the air. Every alien in the chamber seemed nervous about what would come next. The evidence we have presented so far, Vexera began, covers your planet's natural dangers and your species' unusual relationship with fear and risk. But there is one more aspect of human behavior that concerns the Council more than anything else. The giant screen above the chamber flickered to life. It showed images that made Jake's heart sink. Pictures of human wars throughout history. Ancient battles with swords and arrows. Modern conflicts with tanks and aircraft. soldiers fighting in jungles, deserts, and cities. Dr. Lisa Hamilton shifted uncomfortably in her seat. She had hoped the aliens would not bring up human warfare. Your species has been at war with itself for thousands of years, Vexthera continued. Not simple conflicts over territory or resources, but organized warfare involving millions of individuals. You have developed weapons that could destroy entire continents. The screen showed atomic bombs exploding, mushroom clouds rising into the sky, cities reduced to rubble and ash. Yet somehow, Vexthera said, you have managed not to destroy yourselves completely. This restraint is more frightening to us than the weapons themselves. Ambassador Kate Phillips stood up.
Counselor!
Many species have experienced war. Surely conflict is not unique to humans. You are correct, replied Counselor. Dex from the warrior clans, the tall, muscular aliens stepped forward. My people are warriors. We understand fighting and conflict. But human warfare is different from anything we have seen. The screen changed to show different types of conflicts. Territorial disputes between animal species. Resource wars between alien civilizations. Simple battles for survival. Most species fight for basic needs, Counselor Dex explained. Food, water, territory, mates. These conflicts make sense. They follow logical patterns. The stronger side usually wins, and the conflict ends. But humans fight for ideas, Dex continued. You fight for concepts that cannot be seen or touched. Freedom, justice, religion, political systems. You will die for thoughts and beliefs. The screen showed human soldiers carrying flags, protesters marching in the streets, people giving speeches about democracy and human rights. This type of warfare is completely unpredictable, Dex said. We cannot understand when humans will fight or when they will stop fighting. You make decisions based on principles rather than survival. Colonel Steve Brooks stood up. It's fighting for our beliefs, really. So frightening? Yes, Dex replied firmly. Because you also do something else that no warrior species has ever done. You help your enemies after you defeat them. The screen showed images that surprised Jake. American soldiers helping to rebuild Japan after World War II. Former enemies working together on peace treaties. Veterans from opposing sides shaking hands at memorial ceremonies. This behavior is unknown in galactic warfare, Dex continued. Most species fight until one side is completely destroyed. Humans fight until you decide to stop fighting. You help the people you were just trying to kill. It's called making peace, Dr. Ryan Clark said. It's better than fighting forever. It is incomprehensible, replied another alien. This one looked like a large cat with blue fur. Why would you spend resources helping people who were your enemies? Because the war is over, Clark explained. Once we stop fighting, they're not our enemies anymore. The chamber erupted in worried chatter. Aliens talked among themselves in languages Jake could not understand. He could tell they were confused and frightened by the idea of helping former enemies. Vexthera called for quiet. There is more evidence that disturbs us, she said. The screen changed to show peaceful scenes. Doctors treating patients in hospitals. Firefighters rescuing people from burning buildings. Coast Guard crews saving people from sinking ships. When other species encounter humans in distress, Vexthera said, they report the same phenomenon. Humans will risk their lives to save complete strangers, even members of other species. The screen showed human rescue workers helping aliens who had crashed on Earth. Medical teams treating injured visitors from other planets. Humans donating blood and organs to save alien lives. This behavior is so rare in the galaxy that we have classified it as a uniquely human trait, Vexthera continued. Most species will help their own kind and sometimes their allies, but humans help anyone who needs help. That's just being decent people, Amy Roberts said. No, Vexthera replied. That is being terrifying. You dive into burning buildings. To save people you have never met? You donate parts of your own bodies to strangers. You spend your own resources to help others with no expectation of return. The screen showed more examples. Humans volunteering at disaster sites. People donating money to help victims of earthquakes and floods. Medical missionaries traveling to dangerous places to treat sick people. To most galactic citizens, Vexthera said this behavior is completely insane. Why would you risk your life for someone who cannot help you in return? Dr. Hamilton stood up. Because it's the right thing to do. Help others because they need help. Right and wrong, Vexthera repeated. These concepts appear constantly in human behavior. Most species act based on instinct, logic, or survival needs. Humans act based on ideas about morality. The screen showed human courts of law, judges making decisions, juries listening to evidence, police officers arresting criminals. You have created complex systems to determine right from wrong, Vexthera continued. You punish members of your own species when they break these moral rules. You have laws that protect the weak from the strong. Every civilized species has laws, Colonel Brooks said. But human laws are different, replied Counselor Bryn from the Cautious Collective. The flower-like aliens, many eyes focused on the other. Humans, your laws are based on abstract concepts like justice and fairness. Most species have laws based on practical needs like order and survival. The screen showed human rights declarations, documents promising freedom and equality for all people, constitutional amendments protecting individual liberties. Humans believe that all members of your species deserve certain rights, Bren continued. Not because they are strong or useful, but simply because they are human. This concept is almost unknown in the galaxy. You protect the weak, the sick, and the old, Bren said. Most species abandon individuals who cannot contribute to survival. Humans create special care for them. The screen showed hospitals, nursing homes, and schools for disabled children. Humans working to help people who could not help themselves. This pattern appears throughout human society, Vexthera said. You make decisions based on what you think is right, not on what is practical or profitable. But the most disturbing evidence, Vexthera continued, is what happens when we combine all of these human traits. The screen showed a montage of human achievements. Humans landing on the moon. Deep-sea explorers discovering new species. Scientists curing diseases. Engineers building bridges and skyscrapers. Humans are capable of incredible violence, but you usually choose peace, Vexthera said. You live on the most dangerous planet in the galaxy, but you help others survive. You could use your weapons to conquer other species, but instead you offer friendship and cooperation. You have the capacity for total destruction, Vexthera continued, but you have the wisdom to choose not to destroy. You're capable of conquering the galaxy, but you prefer to explore and learn. The screen went dark. The chamber became completely silent. A species that fights only for survival is predictable, Vexthera said. To a predictable, but a species that can choose when to fight and when to help, when to be violent and when to be peaceful, is completely unpredictable. That level of conscious choice in a species with your capabilities, Vexthera continued, is what makes Earth the most terrifying planet in the galaxy. Jake looked around at his fellow humans. They all seemed overwhelmed by what they were hearing. The things that made them proud to be human were the very things that frightened aliens the most. The evidence is complete, Vexthera announced. The Council will now deliberate and decide what must be done about the most dangerous planet in known space. As the aliens began to file out of the chamber for their private discussions, Jake wondered what kind of decision they would make. Would Earth be quarantined? Would humans be banned from space travel? Would they be forced to change their behavior to seem less threatening? Whatever the Council decided, Jake knew that human life was about to change forever. The question was whether that change would be for better or worse. 3 hours passed before the Galactic Council returned to the chamber. Jake Morrison and his team waited in their seats, watching as thousands of aliens filed back into the huge room. The humans had spent the time talking quietly among themselves. Trying to guess what decision the Council might make, Ambassador Kate Phillips looked calm, but Jake could see worry in her eyes. Colonel Steve Brooks sat straight in his chair, ready for whatever might come. Dr. Ryan Clark kept checking his notes, as if the right words might somehow change the council's decision. "Hi, Counselor." Vextera moved to the center of the chamber. Her 8 legs clicked on the floor as she walked. The entire room became silent, waiting for her to speak. "The Galactic Council has reached a decision," Vextera announced. "We have discussed the evidence about Earth and its inhabitants for many hours. All 47 member species have voted."
Ow.
Jake held his breath. He wondered if this would be the last time humans would be allowed to travel freely through space. "Earth will keep its classification as a Class X extreme hazard world," Vextera continued. "The planet remains the most dangerous inhabited world. In known space, this classification will not change." Ambassador Phillips stood up slowly. "Hi, Counselor. What does this mean for Earth's relationship with the galaxy?" "That is an excellent question," Vextera replied. "The Council has never faced a situation like this before. We have never encountered a species that is both extremely dangerous and extremely beneficial to galactic civilization." Murmurs spread through the alien audience. Jake could hear surprise and confusion in their voices. "Therefore," Vextera continued, "the Council has created a new classification. Earth will be designated as the galaxy's first beneficial hazard world." The giant screen above the chamber showed a new document.
Oh.
Jake could see official seals from all the different alien governments. The title read Special Protectorate Status, Planet Earth. "Never before has the Council classified a world as both dangerous and valuable," explained Counselor Bryn from the Cautious Collective. "Your species represents something we have never seen. You are terrifying not because you are evil, but because you have unlimited potential for both good and harm. And you consistently choose to do good," added Counselor Dex from the warrior clans. Ambassador Phillips felt tears forming in her eyes. "So what happens now? What does this new classification mean?" "It means," Vextera said, "that Earth will become the galaxy's first special protectorate. Instead of isolating your world, we are formally asking humanity to serve as the galaxy's guardian species." The chamber erupted in discussion. Aliens talked excitedly among themselves about this unprecedented decision. "Guardian species?" Dr. Hamilton asked. "What does that mean exactly?" Counselor Threen from the Aquatic Collective answered. "Your species has abilities that no other species possesses. You can survive in environments that would kill other galactic citizens. You can adapt to dangers that would destroy other civilizations. More importantly," added Representative Quinn from the Peaceful Enclaves, "you have the moral strength to use these abilities responsibly. You could conquer the galaxy, but you choose to help instead." Vextera moved closer to the human delegation. "The galaxy needs people who can go where others cannot go. We need beings who can survive what others cannot survive. We need a species that can make difficult choices while still maintaining their moral principles." The screen changed to show star maps with areas marked in red. "There are regions of space that are too dangerous for most species to explore," Vextera explained. "Worlds with hostile environments, systems with dangerous radiation, planets where rescue missions would be suicide for normal galactic citizens. But not for humans," Counselor Dex said. "You thrive in hostile environments. You have turned surviving danger into an art form." Captain Troy Anderson stood up. "Are you asking us to be some kind of galactic rescue service?" "More than that," Vextera replied. "We are asking you to be the galaxy's first responders. When disasters happen that are too dangerous for other species to handle, humans would respond. When exploration missions need to go to deadly worlds, humans would lead them. When peace needs to be made between hostile species," added Counselor Dex, "humans would serve as mediators. Your ability to help former enemies makes you ideal for this role."
Ow.
Dr. Clark looked confused. "But why would you trust us with so much responsibility? You just spent 3 days explaining how dangerous we are." "That is exactly why we trust you," Vextera replied. "Any species can be dangerous when they have no choice. But humans are dangerous by choice, and you consistently choose not to be dangerous. That level of self-control is what makes you trustworthy. You could use your abilities to hurt others, Counselor Brent explained, but instead, you use them to help others. You could take advantage of weaker species, but instead you protect them. The screen showed images of human peacekeeping missions, disaster relief efforts, and medical aid programs. The evidence shows that when humans have power, Vexthera said, you use it to help people. When humans have technology, you share it. When humans have resources, you give them to those who need them. Ambassador Phillips wiped tears from her eyes. What would you expect from us in return? Full galactic citizenship for all humans, Vexthera announced. Access to all Council technologies and star charts. The establishment of Earth as a permanent seat on the Galactic Council, the alien audience gasped. This was an honor that had never been offered to any species so quickly. Your world would become the galaxy's capital of courage, Vexthera continued. Other species would come to Earth to learn from humans. You would train other beings in survival skills and crisis management. But most importantly, she added, Earth would become the headquarters for the new Galactic Emergency Response Corps. Humans would lead this organization, but all species would be welcome to join. Colonel Brooks leaned forward. You want us to create a Galactic Emergency Response Team? Yes, replied Counselor Dex. Led by humans, because you are the only species crazy enough to run toward danger instead of away from it. Eh? Jake stood up. For the first time during the hearing, Hi, Counselor, this is a great honor, but I have to ask, are you sure about this? We're still the same humans who eat meat, keep predators as pets, and jump out of airplanes for fun? That is exactly why. We want you, Vexthera replied, with what might have been a smile. We need people who see jumping out of airplanes as fun. We need beings who are comfortable with predators. We need a species that can stay calm in situations that would terrify anyone else. The galaxy is full of dangers, she continued. Disasters, hostile environments, dangerous creatures, and sometimes violent conflicts. Most species run away from these problems. Humans run toward them. And more importantly, added Counselor Threen, humans run toward them not to conquer or destroy, but to help and protect. The vote was announced. All 47 species had agreed to the proposal. Earth would be crowned the galaxy's most terrifying planet, but it would also become its most trusted protector. Ambassador Phillips stood to address the Council. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we accept this responsibility. We promise to use our abilities to protect and serve all species in the galaxy. The chamber erupted in cheers and applause. For the first time in galactic history, the most dangerous species had also become the most beloved. As Jake and his crew prepared to return to Earth with the news, realized that humanity's greatest achievement was not learning to survive on a dangerous planet. It was learning to choose compassion over conquest, service over selfishness, hope over fear. Earth would remain the galaxy's most terrifying planet, but it would also become its greatest source of hope. The humans had found their destiny not as conquerors, but as guardians who would protect the galaxy. From the very dangers that had made them strong, the stars were no longer just points of light in the darkness. They were homes that humans would protect, worlds that humans would serve, and people that humans would help. The most terrifying planet in the galaxy had become its greatest blessing.